that's part of the problem. And the fishing industry is still very, very much in force. People are still fishing the lakes. I ate some of the fish from the lakes. No, I did not get sick. I didn't drink any of the water. I didn't touch the water. In fact, my doctor told me not my baby finger into the water because I could get infected with something. So this is a very serious situation, and yes, the people there pretty much do suffer from some of the chronic problems that this lake presents. But the biggest issue in that area is that there is a huge infection of AIDS, and I think most of you are familiar with AIDS. And the AIDS has come about, it's got upwards of 40% infection rate of the local population of AIDS, HIV or AIDS. And that's because of the prostitution in the fishing villages. So that...
I'm sorry for the interruption.
No problem.
A poll was just put up, and yes, you answered the poll.
Yes, no, maybe.
We just put up a poll asking if this is an area they'd like to go to help out.
Wow!
So we'll see what the results of that poll are.
It was yes 75 and maybe 25. I voted yes. No, I voted yes. I voted yes.
Well,
I like your poll. That's very cool. I like when you can play with little things like that. So that's, as you can imagine, there are a lot of problems in this area because you've got people who are very sick. They're dying from HIV/AIDS. They're dying from not dying, but they're very sick sometimes from the lake and the infections in the lake. They don't have electricity or enough electricity. They don't have enough money. They have very poor resources. So what we did for this area when we went and believe computer training with the teachers in a small resource center that had 12 computers in it to 50 teachers. And let me tell you, they are very excited to even get their hands on a computer. Very, very excited because they realize that technology and catching up with the rest of the world with technology is going to help their country move ahead faster. They know that. So they were very, very eager to learn more about technology and how it can be used in their classrooms. And you know what? I spent a lot of time trying to convince them that the technology they had in their hands, and guess what that would be? Cell phone. Almost everybody had a cell phone. That technology could be used and in some ways to promote education, because it was probably going to be a long time before they would find someone rich enough to put a computer lab in their school. I was trying to get them using the technology they had rather than trying to prepare them for something that they may never have. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And you know, iPhones are coming about and other mobile technologies. We brought over with us some flip cameras. How many of you have seen the flip camera? Have you got some of those at your school?
We actually have one running right now, Amy.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. We brought over flip cameras and showed them how to use flip cameras. We gave a flip camera to a man who was a teacher on a school that is so remote. It's an island.
Do you all know
There's
what
no
remote
electricity
means?
on the entire island.
Wow.
Oh, what does remote mean?
Remote means it's cut off. It's so cut off
I
from
see.
the world. They don't have a regular ferry service. If you want to go to or from that island, you have to hire your own boat person that would take you there. It doesn't have telephone service. It doesn't have electrical service. When we visited, just imagine this to make you giggle maybe a little bit, but when we visited that school, it was a surprise visit. We did surprise visits to all the schools because otherwise they would have put on a big performance for us, and that wasn't really why we were there. We just wanted to see the teachers in action. When we visited the headmaster, the principal was drunk, and it was 10 a.m. in the morning. You know, so he was a person maybe of so little hope in his life that he had turned to alcohol.
It wasn't our school. She's talking about this very remote school.
Can you imagine me dropping by your school and finding your headmaster? Never mind.
One question. Oh.
So yeah, that says a lot. That says a lot about how hopeful they feel.
So these students being raised on that island have never seen a car or an automobile or even a motorcycle before, and they often don't see one of those until they leave the island when they're in their late teens. Can you imagine being 16 years old and seeing an automobile the very first time. So we left a flip camera with him, and I told Eric that he needed to use it and document his students, because we in the developed areas of the world needed to see that there were still people out there in the world living like this. And so anyway, we brought technology like that with us, but the really fun technology that we brought with us that I was most proud of is something called a digital library. And if you know what an external hard drive is, it's basically a box that you can download lots of information into. And one of the universities in the United States has created one of these boxes to talk to a laptop so that it's got a database on it, and they have downloaded millions of bits of content onto it. So they've got all of Wikipedia, they've gone to authors of books, of medical encyclopedias, and other such things like that, all geared to Africa. And they put these millions of bits of content onto this box. And we delivered it, and we installed it in the resource center, and we hooked it up to a wireless router and put a wireless antenna in each of the computers. And we chose to do it this way rather than by cable, because we wanted anyone who walked in with their own laptops, because many teachers are starting to acquire their own laptops, not huge amounts of teachers, but some teachers, and they could pick up the signal too. And instantly, without having to have the internet access, they had a mini internet, more information than that whole area of Africa put together, because they don't have libraries in Africa. So I was really, really excited about bringing that digital library to them. Why do the people take a bath in the water if it would get them sick? Because they're desperate for water. I'm going to just answer some of the questions. Can they die if they drink the water? No, but they'll probably, it's possible that they built up some immunity or adjustment to the bacteria, whereas I'm from a different area in the world, and my body would have a harder time adjusting. But yes, they would probably be somewhat sick most of the time with traveler's diarrhea type stuff. How many flip cameras do I personally have? I have one flip camera, and I bought a few for my school, because here I direct the technology program here at my school. We took over 9 donated flip cameras and left them with teachers there in South Africa and in Kenya. So would I ever want to live in Africa? I thought a lot about that, and the answer would be, I think in certain areas of Africa, I would love to live there, because I don't like snow very much, particularly this time of year. But there's certain parts of Africa I'd really think are a place I could live in, and the climate is very nice, and it's a beautiful, beautiful continent. So I'm trying to go back to any of the other questions there.
Does anyone have a question now they'd like to ask?
When do we go to Africa during the year? We go during our summer breaks, but of course it's not a summer break for where we go to, because they're in the southern hemisphere, and they're actually on their winter break when we see them.
Okay, Tal has a question she wants to ask you live.
Oh, please do.
How did you feel when you left Canada?
When you left Africa?
I know the first time, I remember flying out from Nairobi the first time, and I cried. I got on the plane, and I'm not a very super emotional person who does this, but I cried. I cried for about an hour, and I'm starting to cry now just thinking about it, because I had met so many special people in Africa and had such a really good experience with my team, which was an awesome set of teachers from across North America. My team were made up from Philadelphia, a teacher from Philadelphia, Ohio, and then other parts of Canada, and they're really good friends now. So what was my emotion when I found out that people used the water from Lake Victoria and they got sick? I was very sad. It's because it's only the greed of people that made the lake sick. The lake is sick because people introduced this species of fish in order to make money. It's a big fish. It's called a Nile perch. The Nile perch is not indigenous. It's not native to Lake Victoria. And it has destroyed things because people knew they could make a lot of money by raising this fish.